There's Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend, former British title challenger, undefeated English champion as well, Ricky Summers, Digger. How you doing, mate? Good to speak to you.
Oh, yeah, Dan, nice to speak to you, mate. All good, all good. Enjoying life at the minute.
Yeah, well, we've been trying to set this up for a little while, and I think when I first started talking to you, you were still an active fighter, and then through this process, realised that you're actually retired now. I don't know
Yeah.
how much of an announcement was made, and maybe I just missed it. Although I'm on most of your social media. Yeah, when did you actually make the decision to hang up the gloves?
Um, I made the decision after I had to pull out the Anthony Yard fight. I was devastated, and I sat down with my family, close friends, and called it a day from there, really, because I'm getting no younger, 36. I'm picking up injuries now, and I couldn't make the weight anymore, Dan, to be honest with you, without being really ill and getting injured. And it was an hard decision to make, obviously, because coming off a good win, but I couldn't make light heavy. I was thinking of stepping up to cruiserweight, but my work, running my own business, family life and stuff, being 36, I decided to call it a day. But you're one of the first people that know, outside like my close knit friends and group, a few people in the boxing circle now. I just kept it quiet because I wasn't sure whether I was going to come back at cruiserweight, but just too busy with life and too busy with work. And I'm ready for the next chapter in my life now. Taking my business to a new level. And yeah, I'm just I'm happy. I'm happy. I think I made the right decision. You know what I mean? I don't want to be one of these fighters that was just there taking fights for money, this, that, and the other. I'm too proud for that.
Was it because of the weight that you didn't go through with the Anthony Yard fight? Was that a big factor?
The weight was a big factor, but it was the injury that I was carrying before the Joel McIntyre fight and stuff. And yeah, there was the two main factors, and yeah, just my body just started giving away on me. You know what I mean?
Do you think if there was a division a bit closer than cruiserweight, because obviously it's a massive jump from light heavy to cruiser, do you think you would have reconsidered if there was like, 4, 5, 7 pounds up?
That would have been my ideal weight. I mean, when I'm sparring and I'm on like the top end of 13 stone, like 13, 10, 13, 11, I feel untouchable in sparring. But when I start making low ends of 13, I'm feeling really fatigued and weak. And I was always told, like, oh, I ain't big enough for a cruiserweight, but I'd never let my body grow, if you know what I mean. I'd never go above like 92 kilo, whether I was, out camp or not, because I'd always be in the gym. But I was always told I wasn't big enough for cruiserweight. But like, since I stopped boxing and started doing a bit of weight training, resistance training, I went up to like 110 kilo, and I was still fairly lean. It's just that people around me they say I was big enough just because I never went like above like 92 kilo really. So, but yeah, there is a massive weight gap between cruiserweight and light heavyweight. I think there needs to be a weight in between for fighters. You know what I mean?
But the fact that you have now put on that lean muscle and you're quite big, is there always going to be a temptation to have a go at cruiserweight now?
Well, that's the thing, Dan, because I really believe like nobody's ever seen the best of me. I leave all my best work all the time in the gym, and you know, if I wasn't so old, like I'm 36 now, and I was a bit younger, I'd have definitely give cruiserweight a go. You know what I mean? But like you say, family life, business, and being at the level I'm at, I'm competing like with good level, world class fighters like the Anthony Yards and stuff. And when you're part time, you're already at a disadvantage anyway, But when you're part time and you're working and stuff, it's an uphill battle. And I've never been in boxing for the money, and I never wanted to sell myself. I could have gone into the Anthony Yard fight. I would have made weight, carrying the injury and being a proud man. Look, I've never been knocked out. I've never even been dropped. And I don't want my lad to. I don't want to go in that fight. I mean, Anthony Yard's a serious competitor. and I could have gone into that fight and took the money. I was offered big money, career heist, payday, and I could have just gone in and took a knee, but I'm too proud of a man to do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, um, that's that. Like,
Have you, I mean, it's only just happened a few months ago, but have you been able to spend more time with your family now? I know you're a big family man anyway. You got your two boys, you got your wife as well.
yeah, my lad now, Shay, he's doing jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and that's taking up a lot of my time. He's got his third stripe now. He's doing really well at that. And like you say, yeah, my other son, he needs a bit more full-time care. So it's a lot better, being at home with him. I'm enjoying life a lot more on this side. You know what I mean? And that was my big decision to call it a day because I was contemplating on stepping up to cruiserweight and having a go, but like at my level, like I said, I was at, I don't want to be fighting journeymen or like I want to be right in the deep end. I want the big fights and like when I sit back and I look at it, you're always at the disadvantage because half the people that you come up against, them full time. And when you're running a business and you're part time, I've always been part time. You're at a disadvantage all the time, and it's just hard. Like boxing, it's a lovely sport, but it's a very hard, lonely sport as well. If you're out with the big promoters and stuff, it's really hard, Dan.
Tell us a bit about the business. Obviously, we've talked about it before on interviews, but now that's going to be one of your primary focuses.
Yeah. Well, we really find catalyst converters, and we're in the metal business, and it's very demanding on me. It's very demanding on myself, physically and mentally. Like when I finish work, emails, calls, texts. When I'm at work, messing with metal scrap. It's draining. And then obviously, when I was boxing, putting your runs in and your boxing sessions, it was just burning the candle at both ends and trying to keep a family happy. It was just so hard. But yeah, the business is doing really well. I've always done well for myself. And yeah, that's just, I've got more time to put into that now because obviously when I was boxing, it was like juggling two jobs. I had the privilege of training when I wanted to train, but obviously my work was slacking. So now I've got full concentration on my work. And life's just a lot easier without juggling the two. You know what I mean?
Not many boxers get to finish on a win, and you've got to finish on a title win as well. That must be a pretty proud moment.
Well, that was it. Like that's it. Come out on an eye. I think some fighters they drag it out a bit too much, and then they're getting beat by people that they've never got beat by. Just for a bit of money. I'm in that position where I had to go down that route. Some fighters they put their life and soul into just boxing, so they've got nothing after boxing. And it's a bit sad, really, because like myself, I miss it. I miss it a lot. I miss all my gym mates, and I love the sport. I'm still a big fan of it. But my life, there's life after boxing. Where some of these fighters, they've got nothing after boxing. So that's why a lot of them slip into depression, drinking, drugs, and get down a bad route. When I think there does need to be a bit of help for fighters when they retire. I'm in a position where my life's too busy. I haven't got time to get to fall off the cliff and be down. You know what I mean? I'm busy in other aspects of life, but some fighters they haven't got that privilege, have they? You know what I mean? When they've put their life and soul into boxing, they've got nothing after it. You know what I mean? So my advice to some of these fighters would be like, set your little business up or do something with your money if you're making big money. You know what I mean? And do that way.
And talking of big money, have you had many offers since you've decided to hang them up? Because not, as you said, not everyone knows.
No, not really. I don't think my manager would tell me anyway because he knows like that he'd get me tempted and that. But I haven't really spoke to me. I've just been busy, in my personal life. I haven't really seen my former manager trainer, but I went to like this awards, the Midlands Area Awards, and I asked him, I said, have we had any offers? And he was like, no. And that was the thing, Dan. That was the thing that was getting me down because I wasn't with a big promoter, and I struggled really bad at the weight. I'd always have to still be in the gym, even without having fights and stuff. And I know that's the way of life, but like it'd be soul destroying sometimes. You know, just being in the gym and not having a date and not having a fight. And if you look on Box Rec, I've been really inactive over the last few years through no fault of my own. I ain't saying I'm a well beater, but like, you know, I'm a fight that I'm an I risk low reward for anyone. You know what I mean? I always come in there to win, and was just never getting no offers. And it was all that aspect what I have to take into consideration about like retiring as well. You know what I mean? I think it's hard for these fighters that have on the smaller shows that can set in the self. And yeah, it's a great sport, but a very dark and lonely, sad sport at the same time.
With that said, what's been your proudest moment in boxing, if you had to pick one out?
Obviously, you know, boxing on my own show and winning the English title in front of all my fans, friends, family. That was one of my proudest moments. And obviously, topping the bill at the O2 for the British title. Obviously, taking my way, but I gave a good account of myself. Them two fights there, and you know, are living me to my grave. Like, you know, it was great achievements.
I mean, in fairness, Bullioni was on some crazy form at the time.
Yeah, and everybody wrote me off, you know, for that fight. And I was 13 and I was going into that fight, never boxing on the big stage. And like I say some of this to some of the gym lads, it's different when you're boxing on these small hall shows, and then you jump onto a big show, especially topping the bill in front of thousands of people, cameras in your face and stuff. It can swallow you up. But I lost the fight, and I learned a lot from it. But that loss was better than most of my wins because people aired at me, and I get a good account of myself. And yeah, but I just never really pushed on from there. Like you say, not having a big promoter behind you and dropping back down to small hall shows, it's very hard. Boxing's a very hard sport.
Any regrets? Anything you would have liked to have done that you didn't?
Yeah, like I say, I'd have liked to, being a bit younger, I've always struggled with the weight. I'd have liked to have stepped up to cruiserweight, probably after the Bullioni fight. You know what I mean? I boxed Andre Sterling, boxed very, very poorly in that fight, down to weight issues and stuff. And then done the same again, got a good nutritionist on board. I highly recommend him, but he's very expensive and he works with all the leading fighters like Sam McKenzie. But when you ain't making much out of boxing, like to work with these top guys, it's a lot of money. So it's more than what you get in your purse, you know what I mean, by the end of it. But when I boxed Dan Aziz, I worked with him for that. And I still to this day, you know, people argue, but still to this day, I feel like I beat Dan. It was a close fight, lost on a split decision. It could have gone either way, that fight. But like I say, then again, I never pushed on from that. And then I had a bit of time out and then come back and won the English title. But if I had enough time, I'd need a good 16 weeks to perform good at light heavy, because I'd need a lot of time to get down to the weight properly, you know what I mean? And I would just wish, like you say, there was a weight in between. If there's been a weight in between, that'd be my ideal weight. Or, you know, putting a bit of muscle on and going up to cruiser.
Who's the best you fought?
It's an hard one. Like the strongest, the strongest is like I'd say Frank Bullioni. Um, Technically, I'd say like probably Dan Aziz, and like punch power. Joel McIntyre, he could punch, like I said in previous interviews. They've all had different attributes. everyone's different. But I think like if I had to pick one, the best all round would probably be Dan Aziz.
And you mentioned McIntyre's punching power there. Is he the one, and I'm including sparring in this as well as proper fights, is he the one that's hit you the hardest in your career?
Nah, the hardest I've ever been hit, believe it or not. Styles and styles, but the best I've ever been in with and the hardest I've ever been hit is off my stable mate Zach Parker. He's next level when he's on his game. I know when he's on his game, like he's a very hard for me stylistically. You know, it might be different with other fighters, but he's the best I've ever shared a ring with, sparring and fighting. And I've sparred with world class fighters, but it's just styles, Danny. Like his style's probably all on for me, but I used to hate sparring him. I used to hate it. Anybody else, I'd always, hold my arm with, but he's the best I've ever been in the ring with.
Well, you've never got to spar him again on the positive side.
Who knows? We never know, but on the positive side now. Yeah.
There's a big light heavyweight fight coming up, of course, on the 1st of June. The two world champions combining those belts, Bivol and Beterbiev. I'm sure you've seen plenty of them being in that weight division for so long. What do you make of it? Who do you fancy in that?
Beterbiev. I reckon Beterbiev. I just think he's an animal. He's a beast. It's be a great fight. Like I say, clash of styles. They're both good in their own ways, but I just see Beterbiev being a bit too strong for him. Everybody seems to hit. Like you say, he's got a 100% KO ratio, but he's a very good boxer as well, isn't he? Like, I don't think he gets the credit that he deserves for his boxing skills. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think Beterbiev beat him mid to late rounds stoppage.
And just,
I think.
Well, actually, no. Before we get to the final question, just one thing I should ask, because on Sky not too long ago, you were being mentioned as a potential next opponent for Ben Whittaker, of course, Olympic silver medalist, unbeaten so far as a pro. We know that fight's not going to happen because you've retired. But what have you made of his development as a pro so far?
I think he's great for boxing. I think he's doing big things. He's a special talent. Obviously, you don't win a silver medal at the Olympics for nothing. I've sparred with Ben, and his charisma and that, he's just brilliant for boxing. I mean, like, some people hate him. People think he's horrible and arrogant, but I can tell you off camera and stuff, he's one of the nicest lads you'll ever meet. He's always got respect for people, and he's a good kid. I think he'll go far. I think he'll do really well at boxing.
How impressed were you with him in sparring?
Can't take too much away from when we sparred, Danny, because his dad messaged me the next day and says, he was round about COVID time. I was sparring him in preparation for Dan Aziz, and it was round about COVID time, and then his dad phoned me the next day and says, I'll get you the COVID test. Ben's got COVID, so I can't take too much out of the sparring, but he's been in our gym many a time, sparring with other lads, and I've seen him, and he's like eating an ample of rice. You just call it him. You know what I mean? He's what's the saying? He's like the Matrix. Like, when I've watched him in sparring and that, but I don't think he was very well when I sparred him. But he's a serious talent, and obviously that was 3 years ago, and obviously he's gaining his man strength and that. Now you can see it in his fights, and I wish him all the best.
Great stuff. Now, yeah, just to round off, boxing fans, they've obviously followed your career through. In 5-10 years' time, with people looking back at the records and everything else, what do you want people to say about you as a boxer?
As a boxer, I'll give it my all. I never turn fights down, and I'd have fought anyone. And yeah, just known as a game lad, durable lad, and tough. That's one thing. One thing I've always had. I might not have been the best boxer in the world, but I had a great chin. Like I say, I've never been knocked out, never ever been dropped. So it's known as a tough lad that, you know, give it his all as a part-time fighter, really. Things maybe would have been different if, you know, I was full-time, but I chose that way, you know, running a business, having something after boxing. You know, I don't want to put all my eggs in one basket. Maybe if I did, I'd have been British champion. Who knows? But you know, yeah, that's that, Danny.
Anyone you'd like to thank particularly before I let you go? I'm sure there's loads, but
Yeah, one person in particular is Nigel Porter. He sponsored me from day one, and he stuck by me all through thick and thin, and he really backed me well. So thanks, Nigel Porter.
there you go. He's got a little bit more for his
And
sponsorship there.
and NKP Properties. Nigel Porter, yeah, he was a big role in my boxing career because obviously when I was taking bits of time out to work and that he'd always make up for it, you know what I mean? So thanks, Nigel. And obviously my wife, because I went through a lot when I was boxing, obviously missing out on, you know, kids' birthdays, parties, you know, family time, you know, stood with me thick and thin, prepped all my food for me day in, day out when I was in camp. So a big shout out to Jodie.
I'm sure she'll appreciate that. And you're using her phone to do this as well, so
Yeah, I've had a new phone today, and I'm just here downloading everything off my old phone onto my new one. So yeah,
first world problems.
but,
I feel your pain.
yeah, big shout out to Seconds Out. I've always followed you, and I'll continue following you. I love your channel. I love what you do with the boxes as well. Like you know, like some of these other companies that only want to, you know, interview the stars of boxing, all the big names. With you guys, I see you come through and you know you give everybody a crack in your channel. So big shout out to Seconds Out.
Well, to throw it back to you, we really appreciate how easy it's been to cover your career. You know, you've always been rare and available for interview and, you know, very articulate as well. So we appreciate it just as much.
Top man, Danny. Thank you.